So yesterday we were discussing about breast cancer, and we came all the way up to classifying the first type of breast cancer, that is non-invasive carcinoma. Today we'll look at invasive carcinoma. Now there are a number of different types of invasive carcinomas. The first and foremost, or the more important ones, will again be duct carcinomas or this thing, lobular carcinoma. So the tumor is infiltrating into the duct, or it is invading into the lobules. So the first type will be invasive or infiltrative duct carcinoma. Now, this type of cancer is very common. It accounts for almost 70% of all breast cancer cases. So, 1 in 100 patients, 1700 patients who have breast cancer will have an invasive duct carcinoma, DUCT. Okay. And clinically, majority of infiltrating duct carcinomas will have a very hard consistency. The tumor itself will be very hard because it is made up of collagen. What happens is there'll be a dense collagenous stroma. The carcinoma itself is a Skir's type of carcinoma, because of which what will happen is the nipple will get retracted, and it will get attached to the tumor. Okay? The underlying chest wall, it will get attached to that, and pathologically the tumor itself will be very irregular in shape. You will see that the tumor is about 1 to 5 centimeters in diameter, quite a large tumor, and it will be very hard. ठीक है, it'll almost be cartilage like mass. ठीक है, and if you try to cut it open, it'll make a very grating sound. So if you try to cut something hard, कैसा आवाज आती है वैसा आवाज आती है इसमें. ठीक है. In any case, if you cut open the tumor, you will see that it is grayish white to yellowish white in color, and it will have grayish white to yellowish white streaks. Okay, chalky streaks kind of thing that will extend irregularly into the surrounding fat around the breast tissue. Okay, so that is intraductal carcinoma, invasive ductal carcinoma. Then we can have invasive lobular carcinoma, invasive lobular carcinoma. In this scenario, this comprises of 5% of all breast cancer cases. Of all, this is 70% of all breast cancer patients, of all breast cancer cases. Sorry. And infiltrative lobular carcinoma has a very peculiar morphology. Okay, it will differ from other invasive carcinomas because more often than not, lobular carcinoma will be bilateral, meaning it will occur in both the breasts, okay, at the same time. And what happens is the appearance may vary quite a lot. Sometimes you will see a serous mass, well defined serous mass. Sometimes you might see a poorly defined area, and you will not be able to detect it by palpitation. Generally, whenever a patient has breast cancer, or you are suspecting that they have breast cancer, to check for tumor, you will palpitate around the breast area. So you might even ask the patient for self examination. Okay, they'll have to palpitate the area under their axilla, near the area, the edge of the breast, or near the breast as well, to check for any masses, irregularly shaped masses, uh, that might need biopsy and all. So this lobular type of carcinoma will generally be undetected. You will not be able to easily detect it until unless you're doing something like a CT scan. Okay. And there is very little tendency that these lobular carcinomas will develop into a secondary structure, in the sense that there will be no very little tendency for gland formation altogether. Okay. Normally in lobules there should be gland formation, right? यहाँ पर these tumor like cells, they'll not let any glands form. The cell itself will be round, so they are round regular shaped cells. Sometimes, very infrequently, they might undergo pleomorphism, they might undergo change in shape. Okay, more often than not, infiltrative lobular carcinoma, the tumor itself will be round in size, very small tumor that will be present deep, which you cannot detect directly by palpating. Now there are other types of what do you call invasive carcinomas as well. Technically, there are 10 types, but we are only discussing the important types. The two more important types will be, most important types will be ductal carcinoma and lobular carcinoma, invasive. You can also have another type which is colloid type of carcinoma. Colloid carcinoma may very uncommon, mostly occurs in older women. Colloid carcinoma occurs in older females, and it is a very slow growing type of tumor. In this, what will happen is the tumor itself will be very soft and gelatinous like that. That's why it's called colloid type of tumor. uh, the borders will be clearly demarcated, but you will be able to see that the tumor itself is very very small, very soft and jelly like. Okay, it will have mucin, that is why it is jelly like. The acini will get filled with mucin, a large amount of epithelial mucin, that is why it will become very soft kind of thing. Okay. Then there is another type called infiltrate inflammatory carcinoma. There are all a lot of small subtypes. We are not going into a lot of detail in all of them. Inflammatory carcinoma. Inflammatory carcinoma, it is termed because in the presence of inflammatory carcinoma, the breast itself will have a lot of redness, edema, tenderness, and enlargement of the size of the breast. Rapid enlargement in the size of the breast. This is happening because of inflammation. Okay, it is a cancerous process, but it is happening with help of inflammation. That is why it is called inflammatory carcinoma. Then the last type of carcinoma that will occur in breast cancer, this type of cancer itself, is Paget's disease. Paget's disease of the nipple. Now यहाँ पर problem क्या है? It is an eczema type of lesion. So the skin of the nipple will become very dry and it will have a eczematoid reaction. I'm not sure whether you have ever seen a patient with eczema, but there will be an eczematoid lesion of the nipple or eczematoid lesion on the nipple. Very irregular kind of cancer. Sometimes it might be associated with invasive or non-invasive ductal carcinoma, meaning the patient might have invasive or non-invasive ductal carcinoma, and later on they develop this eczema-like reaction. So the nipple itself will become very crusty. Okay, the skin will become very dry. It will become crusty, crusted. There might be ulceration, fissures will appear, cracks, essentially. You might see serosanguinous fluid coming out as well. Serosanguinous fluid oozes out in the sense that serosanguinous fluid का मतलब यह है it will have serous fluid. Serosanguinous का मतलब sanguine refers to blood, ठीक है, और bloody. Serosanguinous is serous fluid plus blood. So the fluid will have serous like consistency and it will be slightly reddish in color. Okay, it will have both blood and serous fluid in it. And there'll be the area itself will be very eroded. Characteristically, the lesion itself, if you look it under a microscope, you will be able to see that it will show Paget cells. Hence the name Paget's carcinoma, Paget's disease of the nipple. Paget's cells will be present. These are special type of cells. These cells, जो रहते हैं, they are essentially epidermal cells, but they will be bigger than epidermal cells. Big spherical cells with clear cytosol and hyperchromatic nucleus. The nuclear material will become very very prominent and very dark. Okay, that is why it is called hyperchromatic. It will have a lot of darkness to it. Very prominently colored nucleus will be present. Okay, those are Paget cells. Paget cells are essentially a type of adenocarcinoma, but these are the characteristic features of Paget's disease. These cells will be present. The area of the nipple and the areola will become very crusted. It will become fissured. You will see ulcers in it. You will see serosanguinous fluid coming out of that area. All of that. Okay, eczema-like reaction will occur. Yeah, yesterday I asked you two questions, right? What are Leydig cells and what is hyperplasia? Did anyone find out what are Leydig cells and what are hyperplasia?
So ladies will produce testosterone and aldosterone.
एंड्रोस्टेरॉन प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, एंड्रोस्टिन डायोन प्रेजेंट प्रोड्यूस करते हैं. अच्छा, वेयर आर लेडिक सेल प्रेजेंट और खाली फंक्शन पता करे, लोकेशन नहीं मालूम.
seminal fluid, sir. Seminal tube.
They are present in seminal fluid. I was able to hear seminal fluid. Did you tell anything else?
Seminiferous tube.
Okay, seminiferous tubules. Okay, उसके तरफ रहते ही है. All right. When do they produce testosterone? Any idea? Or do they keep on producing testosterone? Is there any particular stimulus? Acha. Ever heard of HPT axis? आप लोगों को फिजियोलॉजी में कभी HPT एक्सेस के बारे में पढ़ा है क्या?
No, sir.
No. अच्छा. This essentially stands for hypothalamus.
Hypothalamic pituitary.
Hmm. What will be the T? Think testosterone से related है बोले तो.
Thyroid.
टेस्टोस्टेरोन से रिलेटेड है तो थायराइड कैसा आता पिक्चर में?
Thyrotropic band.
हाइपोथैलेमिक पिट्यूटरी टेस्टिकुलर एक्सिस. अगर टेस्टोस्टेरोन प्रोड्यूस कर रहा हुआ तो टेस्टिस में से आता ना? नहीं. You can have the rare chance that it is being produced in adrenal medulla, but there is very low chance. Mainly यहाँ से आता. तो hypothalamus is secreting what to stimulate pituitary in this scenario wherein we are trying to produce testosterone. Think you have already studied this. Hypothalamus will secrete one hormone which will stimulate pituitary. Pituitary will secrete two hormones which will go and stimulate testicles at different times, and it will cause the production of two different things. One of those things is testosterone. Just fill in the blanks. You have already studied these. Acha, theek hai. Find out and tell me. What about hyperplasia? Yesterday someone was telling it is increase in the number of cells. Correct hai?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, ठीक है. All right. So today we finished Paget's disease, right? So we'll continue with hydrocephalus. So we have finished a female reproductive system, the disorders of female reproductive system. We'll start with CNS disorders. The first CNS disorder that you have is hydrocephalus. Ever heard of hydrocephalus? Or have you ever got a chance to see a patient with hydrocephalus? Generally, बच्चों में present करता है. I'm not sure whether you had posting in pediatric ward or not, or even in general ward with children. Okay, I'm guessing that you haven't seen. All right. So hydrocephalus essentially is a term that is used to define increase in cerebrospinal fluid, specifically increase in volume of CSF, because of which within the skull, okay, because of which what happens is your ventricles will dilate. Acha, what are your ventricles? Before we can talk about all of this, you should know what are ventricles. Nahi to it will be very confusing. What are the ventricles of your brain? How many are present and what are they? अरे बाप रे. No idea altogether. Never heard the term ventricle. तुम लोग न्यूरोएनाटॉमी पढ़े क्या रहे?
Third ventricle and two lateral ventricles are there.
Okay, what are ventricles? You are telling there is a third ventricle, meaning there should be there should be a first and second ventricle. No one will directly go and name a ventricle third. So first and second के बाद ही आया होगा. And you are telling they are lateral to each other. Okay. My question is two questions. What are ventricles and are they only three ventricles?
Ventricles are the cavities filled with the cerebrospinal fluid.
Good. So ventricles are essentially cavities that are present in your skull, essentially inside your brain, and they are cavities which are housing your CSF. All right. How many ventricles are present?
4.
Okay. So we have the first, second, third, and fourth. All right. So आपके चार ventricles will be in somewhat this position. One second, I'll show you. They have a image of hydrocephalus that should do. Hey, देखो. If you can see the image on the left, for now don't concentrate on the image on the right, see the image on the left. ठीक है, यहाँ पर you can only see so the image is something like this, right? That image is something like this. Please again forgive my horrible drawing skills, but well, this is somewhat how it represents. Okay. Now this, the top part is not only one side. Imagine it in 3D. So it is essentially two ventricles which are present like this. Okay. Imagine taking your index finger, your middle finger, and your thumb, and you're putting it in a claw-like position. Okay. Imagine you're gripping a ball for off spin. Imagine you take a ball and you're holding it with three fingers. कैसा रहता वैसा रहते हैं आपके ventricles. The two ventricles are parallel to each other. That will be the first and second ventricle. First ventricle and second ventricle. Your third ventricle will be present somewhere around here. There will be aqueous of sylviaduct and sylvius of aqueduct. Sorry, aqueduct of sylvius. Aqueduct of sylvius, and under that you will have the fourth ventricle. Now these are essentially areas where your CSF can flow, and you will have your choroid plexus present in it as well, which is responsible for the production of CSF. Also, ependymal cells will be responsible for the production of a little amount of CSF as well. What are ependymal cells? Ever heard of them? Ependymal cells. These are also responsible for the production of CSF, but you must have heard about this or learnt about this when you were discussing, when you were studying about one particular topics about your brain. Other than neurons, there'll be something else in your brain as well, no? Let us suppose I take a brain and I drop it on the floor. Okay? I will not only have neurons spilling over, something else will come out as well. What is that something else called? No idea. Acha. Those cells are also called glue of the brain.
Try to protect the barriers.
They are a barrier. What is the glue of the brain? Think.
CSF.
In your brain, other than neurons, there are other cells as well. What are those cells called?
Epidermal cells.
Epidermal cells. Okay, find out and tell me before I get a heart attack. Find out and tell me.
Neurogalia.
Neuro?
Galia.
Neuroglia. Neuroglia. Or neuroglial cells. You can also call them glial cells. These are essentially called glue of the brain. Okay, these are the filler cells that are present in between your neurons. Okay, in your brain, other than neurons, you will also have neuroglia cells. Now, depending on CNS or PNS, there are different types of neuroglial cells. I'm sure आप लोग पढ़े होंगे CNS में you have astrocytes, ependymal cells, oligodendrocytes, and radial cells. Now, yes, I'm not sure whether you studied about this or not, but they are present. Anyway, as we are discussing about the ventricles, whenever hydrocephalus occurs, what will happen is because of increased amount of CSF, these ventricles will dilate. Okay, they will abnormally dilate and they will start changing the shape of the person's brain or their skull specifically. Okay, they'll start putting a lot of pressure. Intracranial pressure will increase quite a lot, and there will be different types of hydrocephalus as well. You can have an internal hydrocephalus or external hydrocephalus. Internal side hydrocephalus will be when ventricular dilation occurs. Okay, intracranial pressure increases a lot, because of which intraventricular or ventricular dilation occurs specifically. Sometimes there will be localized collection of CSF in your subarachnoid space. So in under your subarachnoid, the layer of your arachnoid matter, I hope you know what is the arachnoid matter. What is arachnoid matter? Acha, what are the meninges of your brain? Think of it that way. There will be meninges in your brain, right? No, no meninges in the brain. Ever heard of the term dura mater, durable mother, spider-like mother?
Dura matter, arachna matter.
Dura matter, acromatter, PM.
Yeah, man.
These essentially translate to durable mother, spider-like mother. The literally meaning, pia mater is very close mother. It translates to a dura mater, which is a thick, very strong layer, outermost layer directly under your skull. There will be a little bit space, but dura mater is very closely present. Then you will have subdural space, small subdural space will also be present. Then you have a spider web like formation, spider like layer, that will be your arachnoid matter. Then under that you will have the subarachnoid space, in which lo and behold you will have your CSF flowing, and you will have the closest layer to your brain, directly stuck to your brain, which is your pia mater, loving mother. ठीक है ना, ऐसा बेसिक भूल गया तो परेशानी. You have to remember these things, okay? ऐसा याद करके लास्ट ईयर में छोड़ देना नहीं, उसको वो लेके चलना है आगे भी. ना फॉर एग्जाम्पल आप ये सेकेंड ईयर में जो पढ़ रहे, भूल के थर्ड ईयर में चले गए बोले तो बहुत मुश्किल होती, या फोर्थ ईयर में चले गए तो. Imagine you going to a hospital and asking a nurse what you call for treatment and all of that, and she might tell you, see ये syllabus के बाहर था, मैं नहीं पढ़ी थी, या वो choice में छोड़ दी थी, I cannot take care of you. What will happen? Imagine you are going to a hospital and you are going with flu. Let us suppose that's what you call nurse forgot that or didn't read about that, or completely left that chapter altogether. If she gives you a response, नहीं नहीं मैं flu नहीं पढ़ी थी, मेरे को bacterial infections बहुत अच्छा आते, I can treat you for that. What are you supposed to do then? तो वैसा ही है, you have to remember the basics. Okay. Now, anyway, external hydrocephalus essentially refers to a term when there is localized collection of CSF in the subarachnoid space, and it will start creating a lot of pressure in the subarachnoid space. It will also affect the ventricles, but not as much as it will affect the subarachnoid space. Now, anyway, coming to the types of hydrocephalus, they are primarily classified into primary hydrocephalus and secondary hydrocephalus. Primary hydrocephalus is the more common type of hydrocephalus. Okay, here there is an actual increase in the volume of CSF. Now there are three possible mechanisms which are causing this increase in CSF. यहाँ पर CSF volume increase हो रहा primary hydrocephalus में. This can be either because of obstruction to the flow of CSF, obstruction of CSF flow, ठीक है, it is getting obstructed either at the level of the fourth ventricle or third ventricle or wherever it is getting obstructed. Now again, obstruction के basis पे you'll have two more categories. We'll discuss about that eventually, but this is the most common type wherein there is obstruction to the flow of CSF, or there is overproduction. Because of whatever reason there is overproduction of CSF, or third reason, decreased or deficient resorption of this thing CSF. So where is CSF reabsorbed back into your brain, or where is CSF reabsorbed? If CSF is being produced, it is flowing in your ventricles and it is flowing in your subarachnoid space. If it is being continuously produced, there should be some place where it is being reabsorbed, right? Acha, we'll do one thing. We'll stop the class for here for now. एक काम करो, please